Scotland. And joining me now in the studio is Joel Rosen. He's president of the Union of Jewish Students. Joel, thank you very much for your time this morning. What's your reaction to the findings of this report?
I think this report was a very sombre read. It laid bare a toxic culture that Jewish students have faced in NUS, that successive Jewish students have faced in NUS. And it's really a hard read, because the students I represent deserve to be represented by their national union. They deserve to be treated like any other students. And what this report makes clear is that students were victimised. They faced discriminatory stereotyping on account of their being Jewish, and that's fundamentally unacceptable.
Now, Kat Stark, the director of the NUS, was on Radio 4's Today programme this morning. I just want to read you something that she said. You probably were listening to that interview, I expect, Joel. She said that the NUS would be implementing all of the recommendations, as well as a zero tolerance policy on anti-Semitism. And then she went on to say, what we'd like to say to Jewish students right now, past, present, future, is we're really sorry about the anti-Semitism that you faced and the moments where you felt unwelcome. Do you accept that apology?
I think it's not for me to speak on behalf of the Jewish office holders of NUS who experienced this toxic culture. I think time will tell if we see a clear change in NUS's treatment of Jewish students. But what I will say is that all of these reports and findings are encouraging, but what needs to happen is there needs to be a wider cultural shift in the treatment of Jewish students in student politics in general, because these issues, whilst they relate to NUS, aren't confined to NUS. And we need to see a sea change in the treatment of Jewish students, because anti-Semitism, as has been laid bare by this report, has been normalised for far too long in some quarters of student politics.
Yeah, how do you bring about that cultural change from your perspective?
I think there needs to be a recognition of all of the forms of anti-Semitism. The introduction, very interestingly, mentions that the one time that NUS proactively put out a statement of solidarity with Jewish students was in response to far-right extremist anti-Semitism, and we need to see an acknowledgement and an understanding of all of the various forms of anti-Semitism, including anti-Semitism that can occur on the far left.
Now, also in that interview earlier, Kat Stark said that campaigning on the Israel-Palestinian conflict is entirely possible without stepping over that line into anti-Semitism. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. It's important that we make this point. People can campaign on a whole range of issues without straying into anti-Semitism, but that doesn't mean that anti-Semites don't occasionally use certain causes as a foil for their extremist hatred. So what we're very clear about is that people can advocate for Palestinian rights, and there is no attempt to curtail that discussion, but it's vital that they don't stray into historic tropes or hold all Jewish students in the UK collectively responsible for the actions of a government they didn't elect.
OK, Joel, thank you very much for talking to us today. Joel Rosen, President of the Union of Jewish Students.
Thank you.